Photography in the Galapagos, what to expect. For many photographers, the Galapagos are a dream destination. The Galapagos are a once-in-a-lifetime bucket list place that simply must be experienced. If I had to choose a place as a professional nature and wildlife photographer that I would recommend visiting for a unique experience where pure, unaltered wildlife exists in its natural state, surely the Galapagos would be at the top of that list. The archipelago is located in the Pacific Ocean along the equator and about 600 some miles west of Ecuador. There are 19 main islands and many smaller islets. No tour or visit will include all the islands, but most yacht-based tours visit perhaps 6 to 8 major islands and a couple of smaller ones as well. And speaking of the types of tours for photographers, there are land-based and yacht-based trips. But only a yacht or ship-based tour is really worth it for photographers. This is the only way to get to the outer islands and to really immerse yourself in the Galapagos experience. Okay, so let's say you've decided on a yacht tour. Now, when to go? Of course, the tourist industry of the Galapagos will say there's no bad time to be there. Maybe not, but there are certainly better times than others to go to the Galapagos. So, when is the best? Well, I've talked to numerous guides with lifelong experience in the Galapagos, and what they said is that the best time for photographers to be there is the March, April, May warm season. The reasons they gave are that the ocean is generally calmer, and many must photograph species of birds such as frigate birds and albatross are displaying and nesting at this time. And the ocean is also warmer for a more pleasant snorkeling experience. On most tours, you'll fly from mainland Ecuador to Baltra Island in the Galapagos, where you'll be met by a representative of your tour company, and you'll take a 5-minute bus ride right down to the water's edge where you'll transfer to your yacht. Once on board and settled in, you may enjoy your first meal and you'll probably begin motoring to your first destination. The licensed naturalist guide on your yacht will brief everyone as far as what to expect, and he or she will give details about some of the islands that you might see. Once your yacht arrives on location, you will board smaller zodiacs, or dinghies as they're called, that will shuttle you to shore. At the shore, there are 2 types of landings, a wet and a dry. Wet means you'll step off the dinghy into ankle or rarely knee-deep water, and your feet will get wet. Dry landings are where you step off the dinghy onto rocks or a boardwalk or onto some stairs, and your feet will stay dry on those landings. Once your whole group is on shore, the guide will lead the way, and you'll go along as a group, sticking to the trail and with your guide, and you'll photograph as you go. You certainly aren't hurried along, but you won't typically have time to set up a tripod and wait for an hour either. That said, I normally don't even bring my tripod to the Galapagos. A monopod can be useful to take some of the weight off your arms from your lens, and it is more maneuverable. Honestly though, for me, hand-holding with a stabilized lens usually works best. And let's talk about lenses for a minute. The most useful lens for wildlife will be a zoom telephoto, such as a 100 to 500 or a 200 to 600 millimeter. Of course, the animals are incredibly friendly in the Galapagos, and they're nonplussed by people, and you'll often be very close. But still, you want some zoom power like the 200 to 600 millimeter for controlling backgrounds and when things do happen off in the distance. The only other lens that I'd bring would be a scenic lens such as a 24 to 105 or a 28 to 200. This is for your landscapes and sunsets from the boat. So a typical day in the Galapagos consists of 2 land visits, a snorkeling trip, 3 meals of course, and a briefing about the wildlife, history, or what to expect the next day. The yacht will motor far distances at night as you sleep. And the order of all this is normally breakfast first, and then a land visit, then usually some snorkeling, and then a lunch, then a second land visit, maybe a rest, then dinner, and after dinner there will be a briefing by your guide, and then you'll sleep while, as I said, the yacht motors to somewhere new. The next morning you wake up and do it all again. Now let's talk about diving and snorkeling for a bit. If scuba diving is what you're after, then of course you'll want a specific dive boat. And I won't discuss that here, as most yachts are not dive boats. Most all yachts are equipped for snorkeling, and I'll talk about that. So the snorkeling is amazing. This is your chance to get in the water and cavort with sea lions, to see all sorts of fish, sea turtles, and other marine life. During what I consider the best time to be in the Galapagos, which as I mentioned was the March, April, May timeframe, the water is quite warmer, but still chilly enough that most people opt for wetsuits so they can stay in the water longer without getting too cold. For this experience as a photographer, I recommend a small, underwater or action camera such as a GoPro. This is easily the best choice to capture some great videos and still photo moments of the things you'll see while snorkeling. While on land, the weather is definitely tropical, and proper attire is shorts and t-shirts with lots of sunscreen on exposed skin. A sun hat helps as well, and you'll want proper footwear with ankle support for island hikes. Those island visits last perhaps 2 to 3 hours, so be prepared with a water bottle, an extra battery for your camera, and plenty of memory cards. On some high action days, I've shot as many as 5,000 images, so be ready. The photography is definitely non-stop, and the potential for amazing images is great. Have the Galapagos been calling to you as a photographer? They certainly did for me, and I'm simply thrilled to get there every chance I get. I'll be taking another small group to experience my hand-picked yacht and her crew on a 7-day Galapagos trip in April 2024. Come with us and be wowed.